This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Wendy Griffith. Winter storm Dorothy is set to wreak holiday havoc in 20 states this week. Meanwhile, a huge Pacific storm is on its way that meteorologists say could be historic. The big question now, though, will the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade balloons be grounded due to the high winds? Here's Gary Lane.
It's not only in Kansas, Toto. Winter Storm Dorothy spread through the Rockies Monday and is now heading into the central U.S., making transportation difficult for Thanksgiving holiday travelers. Swakilia Brown was stranded in Kansas City as she traveled by bus from Atlanta to Denver.
Due to Winter Storm Dorothy in Colorado, routes have been suspended between Denver, Colorado and Kansas City, Missouri.
I don't know anybody here. I don't have any money.
Rush hour, a mess in Denver Monday night. A winter storm advisory is in place until Tuesday evening, with up to 16 inches of snow expected in some places. That would make it the biggest snowstorm to hit the area in 3 years. So far, the airlines canceled more than 450 flights at Denver Airport. 200,000 people are expected to travel through there today. Nationwide, a record 51 million people will be traveling this Thanksgiving holiday. That's the highest number in 12 years. Meanwhile, in the Midwest, people are preparing for the worst.
I've got chains for my car. So
we have plenty of wine.
Lots of wine, yeah, and a bulldozer.
In California, high winds are fueling fires like this one above the mountains of Santa Barbara and forcing evacuations. Another big Pacific Coast storm, one that meteorologists are calling possibly historic, is on its way. Hurricane-force winds are expected in Northern California and Oregon later tonight. And on the East Coast in New York City, final rehearsals are underway for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Wind gusts are expected to reach 40 miles per hour Thanksgiving Day and could ground many of these popular balloons. If so, it would be the first time since 1971. Gary Lane, CBN News.
We pray that doesn't happen. Well, AccuWeather meteorologist Justin Povic has more on what to expect from Dorothy.
A potent storm system continues to lift its way north and east through the remainder of today into tonight on its northwestern flanks. That swath of heavy snow will continue to pull away from the front range and slide its way throughout the central plains into the upper Midwest with poor traveling conditions, slippery roads, and increasing winds. That's another concern as low pressure continues to increase in strength. Let's follow the snow breaking out, again making its move away from Scottsbluff, but here it comes now towards Sioux Falls. Twin Cities looking at that swath of snow later on this evening and into tonight that stretches its way toward Duluth. Also the UP of Michigan. There'll be a curling of the snow around our area of low pressure situated all the way south toward Interstate 80, and you can see the snow sliding its way on east as we venture into Wednesday morning north of Interstate 75 into the upper peninsula of Michigan. Snowfall looking at that swath here on the northwestern flanks of our low pressure system of 6 to 12 inches. Higher amounts toward the UP and north of Denver along the front range. The AccuWeather local storm max of 40 inches. Big time travel delays anticipated. It's ongoing already around Cheyenne. Snowfall heaviest Tuesday night in Minneapolis, 6 to 10 inches before it's all said and done here. Similar situation in Green Bay, not as heavy, but look at the snow Marquette, 12 to 18 inches. Southern flanks of the storm, gusty thunderstorms late this evening and into tonight with the potential of severe weather as well. Forecast for average temperatures into the 30s as we go in toward this afternoon. Blustery conditions, high winds over western Texas spread toward the I-35 corridor. High wind warnings up, also looking at increasing winds as we work our way toward the Great Lakes. And this continues into Wednesday and Wednesday night. Very busy travel time here. The potential for power outages. AccuWeather local storm of 70 miles per hour.
Thanks, Justin. Well, some meteorologists say this winter weather is some of the worst we've seen. Weather Bell Chief Meteorologist Joe Bastardi is the author of the book, The Climate Chronicles, Inconvenient Revelations You Won't Hear from Al Gore and Others. He shared his thoughts on the 700 Club.
What's happening today is people are weaponizing the weather. And what they weaponize at first is, do you think that if it were 1954, Do you think we'd have all the video cameras out in Colorado and all these things going on? But we see everything now. We know everything now. And so what goes on is these people are saying, this is the worst ever. And you get guys like me go, no, it's not. What I'm trying to say is this is all part of a continuum. And what you see today, you got to understand the weather's a movie, not a snapshot. This scene that you see today has been set up for time eternal. And of course, we do look at what's going on now and say, well, it's getting a little bit warmer now. It was colder then. But we put it in perspective, and perspective teaches us history can solve the mystery.
History can solve the mystery. Joe, you always entertain us. Well, meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., the U.S. Capitol and its office buildings were briefly evacuated today amid concerns about a small aircraft in the area. Officials say the plane violated airspace rules in the restricted area. The evacuations were ordered as a precaution of a potential threat around 8:30 this morning. The U.S. Secret Service says the White House also went on lockdown during this time. No threat was found, and people were allowed back in about 30 minutes. And you can be sure to catch up on the latest from our nation's capital this evening on Faith Nation. You can watch it right here on the CBN News Channel. Well, 3 men in Baltimore have been exonerated 36 years after being convicted of a murder they did not commit. The men, who were teens at the time, were arrested on Thanksgiving Day back in 1983. Charlene Aaron has been following this story and joins us now with more. 3 men going free.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing, Wendy. Alfred Chestnut, Ransom Watkins, and Andrew Stewart were each found guilty of shooting and killing a 14-year-old Baltimore teenager back in November of 1983. The case was reopened after Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby's Conviction Integrity Unit and the Innocence Project discovered evidence that was withheld, which could have proven their innocence. And 3 witnesses who say that they saw the men commit the crime have since recanted their stories, saying that they were pressured by police to change their initial accounts. Ransom Watkins is praising God for his release.
This is overwhelming, right? Oh, man. This is a great feeling, you know. I want to thank you, Miss Mosby, for helping us to see light again. If it wasn't for God, oh my God, like, wow. Oh man, this is the day that the Lord has made. You know what I'm saying? And He has set the captives free. Yes, He has.
And Jonathan Fleming was wrongfully convicted also of a murder in New York back in 1989. He spent nearly 25 years behind bars, but was freed in 2014 thanks to the work of the Brooklyn Conviction Review Unit launched by Brooklyn District Attorney Ken Thompson.
The integrity units, I feel, is very important. And Ken Thompson, he actually made that known. I'll never forget watching an interview that he did, talking to them, and talking a lot of the different district attorneys and stuff. And he was in Dallas, and he was saying the importance of the district, you know, this unit is because cases like Jonathan Fleming that need a second look.
Meanwhile, Fleming did receive a settlement in his case, while Maryland currently does not have a formal system of compensation for people who are falsely convicted.
I got chills when he was saying, this
Amazing.
is the day the Lord has made.
What an amazing 36 years.
I just can't believe it. But how many of these conviction review units are there?
They're so needed. And actually, there are many who are popping up across the country right now, 30 of them in jurisdictions, places like Philadelphia, Baltimore, as we've seen, New York, and even Dallas. And so many of these are definitely needed.
And what's been the impact of this work in the lives of these people that are wrongfully convicted?
We just saw 4 people right there in that story, but it's amazing that according to the National Registry of Exonerations, 58 back in 2018 alone. People, 58 people were exonerated. So their work is definitely paying off and definitely needed because there's a lot of wrongdoing. Just one person wrongfully convicted is too many.
It's too many. Yeah. Charlene, great work. Thank you. Well, coming up, why one expert thinks Chick-fil-A's latest move was a big mistake. And before we go to the break, here's a look at what's trending on CBNNews.com.
If you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Last week, Chick-fil-A announced a new corporate giving plan for 2020. The company says it wants to work exclusively in the areas of education, homelessness, and hunger, and will drop support for the Salvation Army and the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. In their place, Chick-fil-A will fund Junior Achievement USA, Covenant House International, and local food banks in communities where new Chick-fil-A restaurants open. The news was a shock to many Christians who think the restaurant chain caved to pressure from groups like the LGBTQ. But humanitarian Franklin Graham said after speaking with Chick-fil-A CEO Dan Cathy, the restaurant remains committed to Christian values. Well, our next guest, attorney and founder of Liberty Counsel, Matt Stafer, disagrees. He joins us now. Matt, thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Well, Matt, it's interesting. Chick-fil-A's corporate purpose, they say, is to, quote, glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that is entrusted to us and to have a positive influence on all who come into contact with Chick-fil-A. You think Chick-fil-A made a big mistake. Why?
Well, I think they clearly caved, and I highly respect Franklin Graham. He is a great individual, great spokesperson, but I think he made a premature decision based upon information that was not correct from Dan Cathy, and I think he'll come out and correct it because the information, the evidence is now overwhelming. Chick-fil-A has changed. Back in 2012, Dan Cathy said that marriage is between a man and a woman. In 2014, he said he regretted making that statement. That's when they began this whole process of change, and that's when they defunded Paul Anderson Youth Home because it was labeled, wrongly so, anti-LGBT. The only reason they kept funding Chick-fil-A or began funding or continued to fund Salvation Army and Fellowship of Christian Athletes is because they had a longer-term giving commitment. But then this year, the president, Tim Tassopoulos, gave an exclusive interview with BizNow, specifically setting the record and the agenda that Chick-fil-A will not fund Salvation Army anymore, even though they meet two of their three giving categories in terms of homelessness and feeding individuals. Nor will they fund FCA. And why? Because they want to set a message as to who they are, because they're moving into more markets that are ultimately more difficult for them to get in because of this false label. And so they hold up as an exhibit. This is what we're going to fund, Covenant House International. And when you go to Covenant House International, this is an unbelievably pro-radical LGBTQ organization. It sponsors and participates in the New York City Gay Pride. It actually requires some individuals in some of their houses to wear buttons that identify their personal preferred pronoun. Now, this is a radical LGBT organization, and Chick-fil-A has intentionally chosen, despite overwhelming information, to fund this and holds this up as an example. That is a serious change in the Chick-fil-A mission and message. It is wrong. It needs to reverse itself. And frankly, it has betrayed the Christian public and thrown all of us under the bus that believe that marriage is the union of a man and a woman.
You know, as Christians, we always appreciate it, even though sometimes we wanted a Chick-fil-A sandwich on Sunday. We were like, good for them, they're closed. Matt, is this a bottom line issue? After Dan Cathy came out and said back in 2012, you know, marriage is between a man and a woman, did they see revenues go down? Is that what this is about?
No, in fact, they saw revenues go up. Governor Mike Huckabee launched the Chick-fil-A Day, August 1, 2012, and it was their biggest day in the history of Chick-fil-A at that time. Governor Huckabee now says that he regrets doing that in light of what Chick-fil-A has done. The problem is Chick-fil-A didn't need additional business. They got support from the Christian community, and they went into other markets, and people who are not Christians obviously support the food chain. They have expanded rapidly. They want to expand into Canada. They've hired a very radical pro-LGBT lobbying organization to get them into 15 new places in Canada. And that's really what's happening. They have ultimately brought onto their board people like Tim Tassopoulos, other people on their foundation board who are very strong pro-abortion advocates. And that has changed the complex of the company and the trajectory of the company. These are intentional decisions, and the decisions are to save its corporate skin, unfortunately, I hate to say that, and to expand its corporate footprint. And in doing so, it has been counseled and it has assembled people in high-level positions that say we need to change who we are and we need to start actively funding the LGBTQ agenda. And that's unfortunately what Chick-fil-A has been doing.
Matt, real quick, what would you like to see Chick-fil-A do at this point?
Well, first of all, I think that Dan Cathy needs to take control of the company. They need to remove and fire some people because it's going in the wrong direction. Secondly, they need to reaffirm marriage as the union of a man and a woman. Thirdly, they need to reinstate funding of good Christian organizations despite the LGBT protests. And fourthly, they need to stop funding these LGBTQ radical organizations. They need to get back on track where they were in 2012.
All right, Matt Staver, thanks so much for being with us. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well.
Thank you. Still ahead, as Americans celebrate Thanksgiving, it's likely many of us will have some leftovers, but you can still use it for other meals, and we'll show you how right after this.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy.
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts, in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Well, many people often end up with more food than they can eat at Thanksgiving. So wondering what to do with those Thanksgiving leftovers? On this week's Healthy Living, celebrity chef Ellie Krieger shows how to make easy tacos your family will love.
So really just started off here cooking some onions and garlic in a pan, and this is all made in one skillet because it's a hole-in-one, right? So garlic and onions, and then we're going to make this beautiful, flavorful sauce for the turkey, but really easily. So basically, it just involves adding some tomato paste. I'm sorry, tomato sauce.
Tomato sauce. It's not as thick as tomato paste.
Yeah, it's like a puree. So just a can of the tomato puree.
One can. That's great because you don't waste.
14-ounce can, exactly. Yeah. And then some green salsa, some salsa verde, tomatillo salsa, and then you can buy, you buy a jar of that, and essentially you can use that also just as a regular dipping salsa as well. It's delicious. Also what goes in here is some nice smoky spice from Chipotle chili in adobo. So this comes in a can also, and just a little goes a long way to bring so much smoky, rich flavor.
So for those of you who don't really know about this particular ingredient, it's Chipotle chili in adobo sauce. Yes. And you would find it on the international aisle of the grocery store?
Just in the canned food section, in the international aisle, where you might find other sort of taco ingredients.
Okay.
But basically, it's Chipotle is a smoked jalapeno.
Okay.
So think about it with the heat of a jalapeno. So you want to use about a tablespoon, and then the sauce that it comes in is super flavorful. So I put a little bit of that in also.
That's the adobo sauce.
Exactly. And you will inevitably have leftovers because a little bit goes a long way, as I said. What I like to do with the leftovers, I put them in little plastic baggies and freeze them.
Wonderful.
So then you have like sort of individual portions and you can put that in your regular chili. You could put it in meatloaf. It's really good. So there's lots of things you can do with it.
So that's great. Some people really love the heat. Some people like me don't like it very much at all. So for people who like me don't like a lot of spice, how much are we talking about?
So, I would start with maybe 2 teaspoons.
2 teaspoons.
And then taste and see at the end, because it's going to reduce for a while.
Okay.
And the flavors concentrate as it reduces. So it's better, you can always add more, but you can't take away.
A great
right?
rule
That's
of thumb.
a good cooking rule of thumb. So then just some oregano and salt and some chicken broth. And then this just comes to a simmer.
How much chicken broth are you putting in there?
So that's, oh gosh, I think that's about half a cup.
Okay. Because a lot of people have, and can you substitute turkey broth? A lot of people have extra turkey broth after Thanksgiving.
Or even you could put water, a little water in there too. So then this comes to a boil and starts to simmer, and you want it to really cook down so it gets like a darker shade of red.
Darker shade of red.
And that will really develop the flavor.
And how long does that take about?
Oh, it takes about maybe 10 minutes, I would say.
Okay, that's fast.
Yeah, super fast and super easy. As you can see, very little chopping involved. And then it winds up looking like this. And so the tomato really takes on that rich, dark color. And you can smell the smokiness of the chili.
It smells like a Mexican restaurant in here.
Exactly.
And that'll be such a great treat for people on Thanksgiving weekend, watching the football games, to have something a little bit different than the traditional Thanksgiving meal.
And you could even do like kind of mini tacos and make them like kind of bite-sized.
Perfect.
And that would be fun finger food for like game day.
Absolutely.
So then the turkey, or you could do rotisserie chicken, of course. Then that goes in. And it just simmers together until it really absorbs the flavor. All the turkey is warmed through, and the flavors are absorbed. And then you use this as your main taco mix. And again, it's one skillet. And then what I like to do, I want to show you as this kind of simmers in here, I want to show you what I think is really essential to do for your tortillas.
And I see that the chicken or turkey pieces, they're not real tiny. They're just sort of like bite-sized. They're actually pretty chunky.
Yeah, well, I like to just shred it. Kind of it gives it that like rustic feel.
And plus, again, not too much time. Spending chopping it up real small.
You don't have to spend a lot of time and effort. That's the whole idea here, to have like a whole meal that's really nutritionally complete, that's all healthy ingredients, that's also easy to do. And if it's easy and tasty, then you're more likely to cook at home and to have that meal at home and enjoy it. So anyway, I'm going to let that simmer away, and I want to show you how I heat up the tortillas.
Okay.
So I like to use corn tortillas or flour, but whole grain. I would say these are like 6-inch. And then you just put it, if you have a gas stove, you just put it on the stove like that.
Wow.
And
you just put it right on there.
Just put it right on there.
Okay, I saw
just
a little flame.
That's all right.
But this is very authentic.
And then you can top yours. Why don't you go ahead and top it with
And so these are like the typical, this is sort of like salsa type thing?
Yeah, some salsa and some lettuce. I like to keep it really green and vegetable oriented. So then you have your whole grain carb on the bottom.
Yeah, you
have your protein and you have lots of veggies. So it's a complete meal. And it's super fun.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
and
that
so
one,
now,
you
like,
did good.
I
that
know.
looks great.
Is it so you kind of do like this?
Yep.
All right. And then I'm going to take a quick bite. This is probably not going to be very camera friendly.
But it's beautiful. A little messy taco's a beautiful thing. It's very good. Oh, good.
Good job, Lori. I would have had it all over. Well, you can watch Ellie make lots of other meals, all in just one skillet. That's tonight on Healthy Living at 9:30 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this with some special programming notes.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torresadillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
And finally, we want to let you know about some special Thanksgiving programs you can see on the CBN News Channel this week. Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, always a big football day. We'll have a mini marathon of our sports show, Going the Distance, from noon to 2:30. That's Thanksgiving Day. Then on Friday from noon to 2:30, you can see Ignite Your Life, where you can hear about how sharing your faith at every opportunity turns each day into an adventure, and is what being a Christian is really all about. And we have special primetime programming as well, with The Hope, about the 50 years leading up to the birth of Israel. That is airing Thanksgiving night from 8 to 10. And To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world. That airs Friday night from 8 to 10. That's it for us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.